We want to be in every regulated market, and we want every market to be regulated. We all want to wake up in the morning and go to a job that contributes to society, is socially acceptable, and is fun, it's entertaining, it's growing. Anyone who thinks that they will not be affected by AI is wrong. You know, everybody will be affected, and our industry is definitely very suitable for AI in many ways. Why on earth would we create a game where we purposely want the player to skip 75% of the game, you know, and jump to the bonus round? You know, it's unbelievable for me that you can do that with pride.
This podcast is sponsored by Pragmatic Solutions, the player account management platform chosen by today's smart betting and gaming operators. Don't let technical constraints delay you from achieving your business goals. Expand your business, boost your margins, and dominate the market in any leading regulated jurisdiction with our powerful, flexible, and secure iGaming platform. Enjoy its extensive marketing tools, compliance protection, real-time data, and a wide portfolio of over 1,000 industry providers. It's time to upgrade your technology. Let Pragmatic Solutions show you the modern approach. Visit pragmatic.solutions and join the smart thinkers.
This podcast is brought to you by Pragmatic Play, a leading game developer providing player favorites to the most successful brands across the industry. With an award-winning multi-product portfolio of slots, live casino, bingo, virtual sports, and more, Pragmatic Play is powering up new possibilities of play through one single API. Visit pragmaticplay.com and discover your favorite every time.
All right, Magnus. Bingo, bango, bongo. We are live here at our next podcast, episode number 2 today together. How are you doing, Magnus?
Very good, very good. Great to be here. Great to be back in this super comfy chair.
Yeah. Isn't it the most comfortable, nice chair that you sat in recently? Huh?
They should focus on furniture.
Yeah. Maybe it's a pivot here in the future now as Play & Go are on the front march here. But great to have you back here, Magnus.
Good to be here.
Of course, you're the CCO of Play & Go, of course. You've been with the company for a long time.
8 years now, yeah.
8 years. You've seen the growth from a very small company at that time to the giant behemoth that Play & Go is today, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think these 8 years has been amazing for Play & Go, and I came in. The growth trajectory was already there. So, and the work we've done with moving into regulated markets and all those things, it has really paid off in a good way. So yeah, we're happy about that. Yeah, and
this is like part that we're gonna talk about today is perhaps where Play & Go stands out a bit in the context perhaps of what's happening in the wider industry right now, which is that as you pointed out yesterday as well, the industry kind of comes from a gray space, in the 2000s and in the early 2010s. It was MJ markets, .com, many markets were not regulated. But fast forward to 2025, and geos are becoming more and more either black or white.
Yeah.
And you guys are taking a pretty proactive stance on that front, right, to focus more and more on the regulated space.
We've said for many years, we've believed strongly, firmly, that regulated markets, that's the future. And we want to lead by example, and we want it to happen, and we want to drive it. So we have a strategy. We want to be in every regulated market in the world, and then it's just a matter of priorities. But we also want to drive the industry towards regulation everywhere. We think it's good. It's good for player protection. It's good to know the rules. What are the rules that apply for a company, for a player, for everybody, for you guys, working in this industry. What do we have to relate to? And having a regulation helps that, and preferably having a good regulation.
Yes.
So we want to be outspoken. We want to take that position that regulation is good, and we want it to happen, and we want it to happen fast.
Yeah, and it's easy to kind of say these things, right? That yes, regulation is good. We should become more regulated as an industry. The elephant in the room, let's say, is that when organizations have the choice of working either regulated or unregulated, the kind of shiny, fast option is to move into the unregulated space, and you can earn a lot more money a lot quicker. There's a lot less restraints and so on and so forth. So it's just easier, right? So working in this regulated space, it comes with a lot of sacrifice. So I want to ask you that in regards to this as well. You know, what sacrifice comes with taking that strategy?
Yeah, so it's the regulated markets are more expensive and trickier. You know, there's certifications, there's licenses, there's taxes, there's all those things that eats your margin. So it is more expensive, and we leave a lot of money on the table. I think we talked about that last time I was here as well, that, you know, we see what you just said, that, you know, there's so much money to be made in the gray space, and that's what we come from. But I think we have exited so many markets, and we're going to exit more markets as it becomes more polarized, white or black. And when we see a market moving towards black, we exit.
Yeah.
And we geofence or IP block, or, you know, we put it on restricted jurisdiction list, and we do those things even if it's not strictly required to do it. So we do it anyway, because it's a signal, and it also, you know, it tells people, both internally, externally, what we stand for. But I also would like to say this, that yes, there's more money to be made when there's no tax and no regulation, etc., obviously. But there's also a higher risk. So we minimize the risk, and that's really good for the company and for the employees. So the risk of working in regulated markets is lower than unregulated. Look at Curaçao licensed operators. I know, and you know, that they struggle with banking and those things because of the gray nature of the business. And we see companies, you know, they move away from Curaçao licenses. We see companies working in gray space, getting those who have a long-term vision. They are acquiring licenses in Sweden, Denmark, UK, and moving into regulated space. We just happen to be a couple of years ahead. And we also, you know, state it in our strategy that we want to be in regulated markets, and we want the world to be regulated. Yeah. And yes, so we leave money on the table, but we also minimize risk.
Yeah. And where do you see this thing heading, if you think about it from an industry perspective? Yeah. You know, right now, you know, if we go back a few years to, like, say 2015, the whole industry was excited over the regulation, the local regulators that was about to come to the industry. A few years later, the temperature really went down, and people are like, oh my God, the over-regulation is very difficult, so on. And so the black markets operators and suppliers really rose to the occasion in that sense. Where do you think things heading? If you just think about it from an industry, who will win between the kind of these two forces?
I know what I want, and I know what we aim for, and that is, of course, I think we talked about it when we discussed yesterday. If you compare with other industries, risk industries, you can take alcohol, for example. You know, you can produce a nice wine, and you can produce an alcoholic beverage, and still there's no stigma around it. Everybody knows that there's a dark side to alcohol, and everybody knows there's a dark side to gaming, but you minimize that with regulation, with age controls, with all those things, sensible marketing, sensible content that drives the right behavior or aims to drive the right behavior. Corporations, like we will talk about later, I guess, about what we do with the G7 and United Nations, to handle that risk that you have in a risk industry, and then make sure that, you know, a normal use of this product is risk-free. I think that's the essence of responsible gaming, if you really believe in it. And if you just put a logo on your website and then, I'm done, then we might head in another direction. The industry might head into more regulation, more stigma, higher taxes, and basically a regulation that tries to remove the industry. And I think we all want to wake up in the morning and go to a job that contributes to society, is socially acceptable, and is fun, it's entertaining, it's growing, all those things. We want that. We want that tomorrow, and we want it in 5 years. So how do we get there? I am 100% sure that we are not going to get there by trying to circumvent regulation, by trying to empty players' wallets with mechanics and functionalities in content, or by doing tricky stuff to go under the radar and not be noticed, or just with a sole purpose to make more money now, instead of let's build sustainable, financially sustainable business over 5 years, 10 years, 15 years that we can be proud of. I think that's a reasonable mindset to have. And I know we talk about it. There's others as well. I see, especially publicly traded companies, they have this mindset as well. I think we all can do more, and I think we all have that responsibility. Let's build this sustainable industry now. And yes, we will have to leave money on the table. Both suppliers, operators, you guys, you have to make some hard choices. But it will be choices that gives us money, freedom, happiness, entertainment, and a better life over years instead of just maximizing a quarter. So I think it's a fork in the road, and I want Play and Go, and I know Play and Go wants to drive in a certain direction. I know there's more companies and people out there who wants the same thing, but I think we have to act and not only just put the RG on a website. Take a few more steps. Yeah, and I couldn't agree with you more, Magnus. And the greatest example here, really and truly, I mean, you guys are really heavy in the US as well, and you see the difference of how the Americans are doing business to the Europeans. One really stark difference between the European industry and the American industry is that in the States, they have the American Gaming Association that kind of acts as this organization that represents the entire industry. Yeah. And that organization kind of keeps the industry in line towards these common goals. And because the industry has united into the American Gaming Association, there is a lot more power from a political level to really have a big impact and to really educate the population and so on what gambling is and what it isn't, and the differences, as you point out here as well. Whereas in Europe, we are much more fragmented. There isn't that strong voice that unites the industry in Europe. No. And therefore, we are kind of powerless towards the regulators, powerless towards the politicians, and we are not able to reach that message. Because I completely agree with you that it's very funny to me. I always like to make comparisons between gambling and alcohol as well. Not because, you should gamble and drink and to draw that conclusion, but I think the industries are quite similar in that regard, that it's two stigmatized industries. Drinking alcohol is a risky thing to do. Gambling is a risky thing to do, let's say. But we all recognize that there is a positive, healthy alcohol behavior that can be valuable to a lot of people. Yes, whether it is to socialize or because you really enjoy a particular alcoholic drink and so on. You can have a lifelong, healthy relationship with both alcohol and gambling. Yes. Lifelong. Yes. Exactly. With no problems. No, exactly. And we also recognize that there are unhealthy behavior. There are alcoholics, and we need to have thresholds in place for
us not to promote alcohol consumption to alcoholics. And similarly, in the gambling world, of course, there are those with gambling addiction, and we need to ensure that they are protected from the industry, right? So these are prerequisites. But the difference, if we think about it from a political level, is that most politicians, they know what a healthy and unhealthy alcohol consumption is, because they do it themselves, right? Most people have had a night out. Most people have gone too far sometime. Most people have enjoyed a nice glass of wine. So you kind of have that spectrum of experiences. Whereas gambling, most politicians have not gambled online. No. They don't have that experience. So the only thing they know and they associate gambling with is something negative. Yeah. They don't understand that there is for the vast majority of people, gambling is an entertainment factor, just like for everyone else. You know, I'm growing up in the poker clubs. Yeah. In the like underground poker clubs in Sweden in the 2000s, you know, all around Sweden, and I can say that was just the best environment to strike up friendships around. Like, we would play poker, and no one was drinking alcohol, no one was doing any like degenerate kind of activity there. We would just came and we became friends over our hobby to play poker, and we got along over the poker table together. Yeah. And that's how it was.
And look at you now.
And here we are.
Successful businessman.
So here we are. Yeah. Without any addiction. But, you know, it was just such a nice way of coming together as, like, you know, growing up and so on and so forth. And extremely rarely did we see any problem behavior in those poker clubs. Yeah. I mean, I'm talking like of the clubs that I visited over the 7 or 8 years that I was like in that world, it never happened. Like, there was never any fights. There was never anyone who like lost their house or anything like that, you know, because it was, you know, a limit, like everyone was playing within their limits, and we didn't allow people to play for higher and stuff like that. It's just a very nice activity for people to do, you know, and that's what we need to educate people about. It
is, and we, you know, we look at our content, the games we create, and also the products around it, like the tools, the ecosystem of content, basically, that we provide to our customers. We look at that as a vehicle for entertainment. The gambling aspect is the cherry on top. It's the icing on the cake. It's like you go to you watch your favorite football club. You go to like a Manchester United game. You put $10 in that Manchester United will win. It adds spice to the experience, but you don't go there and you to win $20. You go there to watch the game and have fun. That wager you put in gives it a dimension of, you know, a bit more thrill.
Yes, just like drinking a beer at the game.
Yep. So I think when we say no to bonus buy, and when we take a position against sweepstakes, we do this with this in mind. You know, bonus buy, in our opinion, empties wallets fast. You know, if I were an operator, I would like people to log in, gamble, leave with a smile on the face and get value for money. We don't believe that bonus buy do that. Same thing, sweepstakes. We think sweepstakes that's gambling. It's just a way to circumvent your regulation. It steals money from regulators, taxpayers, and it also falls outside of responsible gaming and caring for the player. There's no safety net. So for us, those two things are good examples on the wrong direction. Mm-hmm. So I know there's many fans of bonus buy out there, and I respect that. You know, it's good with difference of opinions, and you can have a debate. But there's so many things. When we create a game, why on earth would we create a game where we purposely want the player to skip 75% of the game, you know, and jump to the bonus round? You know, it's unbelievable for me that you can do that with pride and say that, okay, we've done a game, you're not supposed to play it, you're just supposed to skip all this, and we made it so boring that you are going to skip it and then jump into the bonus round. Create a game that's fun from start to beginning. You know, I just don't get it. So, and I don't get it, that you do this and you promote those games, and at the same time, responsible gaming is good, And then, by the way, there's a max bet here on 5, but if you buy bonus, you can bet 500, and still we are not violating the regulation because it's simulation of 200 rounds or whatever. That's exactly what we don't need, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I think people were confused by this in the beginning, right? Like, why is Play & Go so slow to implement bonus buys? Yeah. But actually, it was a purposeful decision because you feel it's not right to the players.
No, we launch mechanics all the time, like Abyss Ways, Blitz Ways. We have many cool features, mechanics, but we want them to drive the entertainment value, not just rush you to a big win or big loss. Mm-hmm. Because then you can flip a coin. It's.
Yeah, and people do it these days as well. That's very exciting for my gambling for sure. But you talked about, Magnus, as well, when we think about innovation in slots and innovation in gambling, that usually we're thinking about it from a perspective of, how can this innovation make more money now, let's say. But you had a different perspective on, how do you think about innovation in slots in our industry that isn't that innovative?
Yeah.
Talk about
that. First of all, I think the industry... There's so many good designers, mathematicians, coders in this industry, and there's lots of good content being created. And I like a lot of the content that I see from competitors. So when you think of innovation, I also see people that are doing new things. But we focus, like I said, we focus on mechanics that drive the entertainment value. And we think, or what I wanted to say is, if you can combine innovation with responsible gaming and entertainment, so innovate to drive the entertainment value up, not to rush a win or loss. Mm. So that's one thing. Another thing is that we can innovate outside of content, for example, in our business models. I didn't prepare you for this, but
okay, let's go.
I would be happy to discuss with any one of my customers to base today we base our business model on the gross gaming revenue, and we take a percentage of that. So basically, the player lose money, and that loss becomes the profit of the casino, and we take a share of that for our content. I think that's how everybody does it, more or less. I would be willing to discuss with anyone to instead base the pricing on rounds played.
Right.
Because then I'm not interested if you win or lose. I'm interested in that you are enjoying the game and playing rounds. I'm not interested in RTP anymore. You can put whatever RTP you like, because I'm just counting the rounds, whatever RTP it is. I'm not interested in how much you bet. If you bet 1 cent, €1, 10 euros, or €100 per spin, not my business. I only want you to play our game and enjoy it, and and we could charge you based on how many rounds were played on our games.
Right. So what you then will be thinking about when you produce the games is longevity. Yeah. That's all you care about.
Yes. Playing many rounds.
Yeah.
This would give operators, more tools to work on their results with RTP and bet levels, etc. It wouldn't impact what we charge them, and it would also clarify for everybody that we make our games exactly for the purpose you said, that you should enjoy them and play them and have a nice long session with lots of fun, and that's why we did the product, and that's how we going to charge you. So I would gladly test that business model with anyone who would be interested in it. I think it could be beneficial for all parties. I've done some math around it. Could work. Let's try it. So if anyone hears this, give me a call if you like to explore it and maybe do a trial for half a year or something. That could be fun. let's see where it ends up.
So the challenge is out there for any operator who is now serious about the responsible gaming side of things and who really cares about the entertainment side. Magnus is open for business.
100%. But honestly, I think they can care and they can be really good at the RG without jumping on this. But it's an interesting idea. So going back to the innovation. So that's one way of innovation, to innovate on the business model. We can innovate on content, innovate on the tools. We can innovate on how if you look at the regulation, you look at UKGC, look at Sweden, Spelinspektionen or whoever, and you can see that they want to achieve something with their regulation. They want to protect players, get tax money in, etc., etc. They have, oftentimes, you can read the regulation and see that they want something with this regulation. Let's support them. Let's innovate and build content and player experiences that talks to the regulator in a positive way. Okay, we see you want to do this. Let's help you. Let's bring out content and innovation that supports their ambition and initiatives. That's one way of doing it. And also, then we could perhaps get away from the more stupid things that they do. My favorite thing is that they have opinions on content. Oh, you can't have pink elephants because that's for kids. Yeah, but
everyone has a goddamn pink elephant.
Yeah,
what the hell?
Yeah, exactly. Who
doesn't like a pink elephant?
And also, the casino is supposed to be age controlled.
Yeah.
Yeah. If that doesn't work, you have another problem, not the pink elephants. So I think that when you start to meddle with those things, their ambition and their vision becomes unclear. If they say no one under 21 can gamble, high five. We think that's a great idea. Let's put that age control in there. Let's make it work. But then when you're in, if there's pink elephants or if there's whatever, it shouldn't matter because everybody in the casino is 21 plus.
Yes.
So when they do stuff like that, they lose focus, and the regulation becomes hard to take serious, which is a shame because we want to take it serious and we want to work with it. So if we could combine our force in innovation with some common sense in certain cases, we can build content and player experiences that works really, really well with a sensible regulator's ambition.
Yes, exactly.
I think that would be a really good thing. And this is something we can do tomorrow.
Yeah. So it's like aligning the interest of the regulator while still being mindful of you have a business to run at the same time. Yes. And that intersection that's where the magic thing happened, where like working hand in hand, because the regulators right now, they will always know that but you can say all you want, but at the end of the day, you make money based on GDRs, or you want your players to play as much as possible or have a degenerate behavior. But if you can then change that business model, let's say, and align it with the regulators' needs and wants, all of a sudden, more trust, perhaps, better cooperation. Yes.
Yeah. And people will always gamble. That will never stop. We've gambled for thousands of years, and we will continue to gamble. So let's do it within a framework that picks up the signals that when something is wrong, that unhealthy behavior. Let's give them experiences that works. Let's make sure that we bring in the tax money to that jurisdiction, and maybe offset some of that tax money for mental health and all those things that to pick up the darker side and make sure that those people get help. So if we get the money in and we drive a proper regulated industry that makes money for everybody, for the regulators, for the operators, for the suppliers, for all the everybody, all the actors in the industry, in a healthy way, then we're in a good place. Mm-hmm. And that might mean that we have to take some hard decisions now.
Yes.
Yeah. And it might mean that the regulators need to listen and learn and understand. And maybe one thing I think is really good with the US is that the regulators there that I've met are really open to listen, to understand, and inform. They can take a meeting, they can say that, okay, this is our regulation, we've done it like this because of this is what we want to achieve, what are your thoughts on this? And we can give feedback, and we can have a discussion. That helps a lot, and that's something that maybe European regulators should take a look at, because it will help them achieve their goals.
Yeah.
I realize they are afraid of being that there's some impact or lobbyism going on, or that we try to distort or change. That can be handled, and we can have open meetings or public meetings or recorded meetings or all those things. Or you could have different actors participating in the same meeting to make sure that there's nothing bad going on. It's a real conversation between different entities that wants approximately the same thing. Financially healthy industry that takes care of the problems as it is a risk industry, but also let people have fun and enjoy the products we have. I think that's achievable. It's achievable tomorrow.
Yeah. And I wanted to move over to the other side of the Atlantic, as well, as you mentioned, in the US, talking to regulators. And as you say, it's a different world in general in the US, where regulators and government entities are generally closer to the business community and the business world than in the EU, where, as you say, here the politicians, the regulators, are much more scared of being influenced and lobbied in certain directions. But I wanted to just kind of take a step back, and you guys as Play and Go obviously entered the US a couple of years ago with really grand ambitions to become a major supplier over there. The market is big, but it's also very, very difficult. And so I wanted to ask you, what has these years of operating in the US been like for you guys? Yeah. Has it been to your expectations so far? What are the challenges of establishing yourself in the US? What are the learnings along the way? And where are you today?
Lots of questions. So we've been in the US now for quite several years, and there's so many things. Bottom line is it's a great market for us, and we will continue to invest in the US even more. We signed CSAS last week or 2 weeks ago, and that's those companies that we have as customers there. They are so experienced, they are so mature, and it's a learning experience for us to work with that type of companies as well. So that's super fun for everybody involved. I would say it's taking longer to ramp up revenue than maybe we planned for. The pandemic didn't help. It's getting licenses and getting licensed in all the 7 states that where iGaming is allowed takes time. Signing contracts takes time, not because I think it's on both sides, but also because we might not be, or we weren't that used to the legality in the US, where there's certain key things. I won't bore you with details, but there's stuff in the contracts that looks fundamentally different in the US, and we had to learn that. And that's fine, and now we know, and now we have skilled lawyers, and we can do all that, but it took some time. On the content side, it wasn't the European type content that we came with works, but it's not as, I want to say this in a way that so that everybody understands what I mean. I think, when you play land-based, which is where many of the American customers come from, they have a great knowledge of land-based casinos. there's a certain type of content that works in a land-based environment.
A lot of buffaloes.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you play online, you kind of look for similar content. And we had the same situation in Europe 15 years ago. So if you look at playing Go games that are 10 years old, they are basically land-based game ported to an online environment. And then we evolved from there. And then this is where I don't want people to get me wrong, but we had to kind of go back to that land-based experience and take American players on that journey that we've been on in Europe, for the last 10, 15 years. And this is actually a really, really fun and exciting thing to do when we develop content, to look at how can we mix everything we learned in Europe the last 15 years on online. How can we mix that with a demanding audience like the Americans, who they know their casinos. Casino is a big part of American culture, and gambling is a part of American culture in a different way. How can we do this and create content that really, really grabs their attention? So our content is constantly evolving and getting better and better and better. So that I think that it's a very, very interesting situation to be in. That we're doing good. We know we can do better, and we know it's about our content to a certain degree. And even if the content is perfect for the US market, we have to get it certified, licensed, get it out there, get it up on the radar for both operators and customers everywhere. And lots of hard work. Yeah. And we see the growth, and we have really, really good growth. We have good trajectory. And now when we kind of nailed down the content side and sharpened it, I think we'll see a lot of playing Go games in the lobbies.
Yeah. How difficult is it to be profitable in the US market as a game supplier?
It's harder than in Europe. Everything is more expensive. It becomes like a volume game. So because the volumes, I mean, it is the biggest gambling market in the world. So, and they in general they bet and play a bit more than average in Europe maybe. But there's taxes and there's all those things, but there's also other fees and things and costs, and marketing is expensive, people expensive, but it yields a good return, but you need volume. Mm-hmm. And also we like to have direct integrations, we like to have direct contracts where it's possible, because we like to have that ownership of the whole supply chain and take that responsibility to make sure that we can give that entertainment experience all the way out to the player. And that also, doing integrations like that, it takes some time. It's tricky, not tricky maybe, but it's new, or it was new for us 5 years ago. Again, we've learned. So yeah, we had to learn a lot. We have to rethink some. I wouldn't say we had to redo, but we have to tweak the way we think about content. Mm-hmm. And that's we've done that now, and now we can't wait for more states to go live. I mean, that's what everybody's.
So that's the thing, right? It's a bit of a disappointment to some degree that only 7 states are live for online casino at this point. Yeah. What's going to happen from here?
It's a missed opportunity for the states that aren't live. They miss tax revenue or tax income. They miss. They don't protect their players because people are playing in all states, but they play on gray and black instead. So they put the players at risk. They don't capture that revenue from tax income, and I think when they start to realize that, and there's no cannibalization between land-based and online, not really. And I think there's several studies that shows that it's different audiences and etc. So hopefully there's more states that will look into this and get going with the regulation. I think that would be beneficial for all. And as I said initially, I think we want to be in every regulated market, and we want every market to be regulated.
Yeah, we did a really interesting study together with Blask, which is like market data analytics company, to go deep dive into how big the black market in the US is. So all you see today in media is that the black market is huge in the US, but it doesn't really go into any details. And people just kind of have a feeling that it's big because we know from surveys that a lot of players play on some of the unregulated sites. Yeah. But we did a deep dive analytics on like the search trends and things like this. And it turns out that the biggest online gambling brand in the US is not FanDuel, it's not DraftKings, but according to these trends and according to this analytics that was done, according to that research, the biggest brand in the US today is Bovada, and the second biggest brand is BetUS. Two completely unregulated brands in that market, right? That are very popular. At least on a search-based level, that gives some clues of what's happening in the real world. And there's more statistics. So, like California, completely unregulated state, right? California is top 3 biggest markets in the world in online gambling today. Yeah. Bigger than Germany, bigger than right. Another thing we found was that in the state of Florida, which has a monopoly, so only Hard Rock Casino is able,
the Seminoles,
to operate in the Florida market because of the tribes there, the Seminoles, that have the complete monopoly in that state. But Hard Rock only has a 20% market share in that market. Yeah. Right. So that tells the story of how huge the black market is in the US.
Imagine the tax money that California and Florida and those states are missing out on, and imagine
the money that is flowing out of the country.
Yes, and the cost they have for the problem gamblers, because the cost will fall on the states.
It's true.
With the mental issues, with all the personal tragedies that from excessive gambling. They still have to carry that cost, but they don't get the income. And they cannot help the people. They cannot pick them up early. They cannot have any early warning systems or anything like that. It's only when it's gone really south. Yeah. When it's discovered. So it's a tragedy for every residence in those states, and it's a tragedy for those players who maybe shouldn't play. It's just such a missed opportunity, and they're putting people at risk.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's a bigger problem too, and in my opinion, the media is playing a part in this, because especially in the US, you never really see any of the tier 1 media outlets reporting on gambling issues or the issues of the black market, of these big brands that are floating under the radar and operating without any restrictions whatsoever. The only thing you see is the kind of media front against the DraftKings and the FanDuels and the Caesars and so on. And those are the brands that are getting the brunt of the criticism, right? And the result of that is that the regulators sees this and increasing taxes on the regulated market, which leads to lower margins, which then leads to worse odds for the players, which then leads the players into the black market, right? So it's like 1 + 1 = 1 type of issue. And I think what we want to do as Next, let's say, is that we want to be a force that highlights the issues of the black market, let's say. So, and because we work with a lot of this media to educate them, we work with Bloomberg, we work with CNBC and Business Insider and those guys, and to educate the reporters there of where the actual, because this is really newsworthy content. What we were talking about, people want to read this. Like, oh my god, like this under the brands that are floating under the surface. So many people know them, but no one talks about them. And there's a really good opportunity for sharp journalists to really pick up on this. So if you want to, at the end of the day, they live out of how many page views the stories get. So like, let us help them to create good, interesting content then for the readers that is not just bashing the regulated brands.
I think that's good, and I think if you take a proper look at it, I think a lot of people will see, and it was like a lot of people will see that this needs to change, and moving into regulation for these states is. I think I can't figure out any other industry that where they actually raise their hand like we do and say, "Hey, look at us! Please regulate and tax us." Who else do that? but we've seen what happens when it's not regulated, not taxed, and we don't want that. And let's build. They will have gambling anyway, like you said, California, Florida. So let's do it properly.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Moving from one topic to the other here, Magnus, we are shooting left, right, and center here. I'm super curious to talk to you about the Formula One partnership. Yes. Last time when we were in the podcast together, we dove into it. You had just signed the agreement. Now you are some time into this. So for those who don't know, Play and Go is one of the most prominent partners to the Haas Formula One team. And for those of you who watch Formula One, you will see the Play and Go logo on the front. What's called the halo? Is called
halo,
right? Yeah. And this is a massive partnership that you have set up. I have done some research. You don't need to go into details here of the financials behind this partnership, Magnus. But from what I understand, these type of partnerships are in the tens of millions of euros who are secure. So first and foremost, I want to talk to you about how is it going, this partnership so far? Are you guys happy with the outcome? Can you talk more about why you entered this partnership and where do you see value?
Happy to. Yes, we're super. I think we're halfway in now. In our first, I can't remember actually, but I think we're about halfway in this contract. And no, it's been more than we expected. I actually knew a bit because I worked for a company before that did sponsor a Formula One team 20 years ago. But things have changed, and we Play and Go, we went into this with certain very, very clear goals, KPIs, ambitions. And I think we ticked the boxes on those and more. The Haas team is the smallest team on the grid. That also makes them very accessible, and we know them now. We're like family, and they are very close to us, and it's just excellent to work with when you know everybody, and when you become. We're just not one out of 40 sponsors. There's MoneyGram, there's us, there's Haas. Those are the big ones, and. When you go to a race or when we talk to them or when we plan activities, we really feel that they care about us and we care about them. So we're happy about the partnership, and we like Formula One as an environment for. It makes sense for us. Formula One is entertainment in a highly regulated environment. It's the same as iGaming. It's high tech. It's lots of moving parts. Just the data. Amazon Web Services, that's also a partner to us. Amazon Web Services do Formula One. They capture 1 million data points per second per car during a race. 1 million different data points. So they have loads of data. We have loads of data. All the regulators require us to save data on everything. And so we have that in common, the data and how we treat that. We have the entertainment in a highly regulated space. We have a great venue for hospitality and customer meetings. And we also, you know, they are the brand awareness thing. It's the only American team for now. Cadillac is coming next year, but for now it's only American team. So we get the brand awareness, we get the logo out there, we see traffic to our websites increasing after races, etc. So we can see all those things happening, and it's fun. You know, it's a great sport to be part of. When we do hospitality, we can provide an experience that money can't buy, literally. Yeah, even the most jaded executives in our industry, you know, this is something they haven't experienced, and it feels good to be able to bring that to our customers and to show them what it means to work with technology like they do, like Haas do, and work with regulation like they do, and how they prepare, how they work as a team, you know, traveling around the world. How everything works together and everything fits together. There's so many things where you can learn and you can get some really good insights. It's what does it take to be competitive on that level? Because there's very few drivers, teams, car engineers, mechanics that makes it to Formula One. Very few. So you have the best of the best of the best there, and how they work together and how they make that work and how they put those two cars on the grid 24 weekends a year. It's just it's a great learning experience, and it's so fun to see.
Yeah.
So we're very excited about it, and we just had it recently. We met Haas for QBR and discussed upcoming plans. We have some very interesting stuff going on next year, and I think everybody will notice.
Oh, anything you can share?
Yeah, no,
Can you give
no,
any?
no, not at all. There's 3 or 4 things that are in the planning, but they are groundbreaking, and we feel that now, after a couple of years in, we know them, we know Haas, they know us. Now we can take the next step in our relationship and build together. So that was what we are planning, and it's going to be amazing.
Exciting. So how do you measure ROI in a partnership like this? I think, if I can say, like, in these type of marketing activities, maybe there is 2 perspectives on this, that what is measurable, but then there will be value that is very hard to put your thumb on, let's say, like you can just feel that this is a good thing for your company, let's say. But like, how do you think about it from a pure ROI perspective?
Yeah, so at the end of the day, it has to be revenue, and that's very hard to see the connection between a logo on the car in Monza over a weekend, and
Yeah, especially as a B2B company,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But we gain credibility and awareness, and we are taken seriously, and we can show people what Play and Go is and what it stands for, and it's sponsoring a Formula One team. It really also signals that we are serious about this. We are doing, we are going into relationships long term. We are ready to invest, but we are also expecting return on that investments down the line. It sends a lot of good signals. There's forums and activities where we feel that it opened the door for us. We are seen as representatives of the gaming industry. They call us because they know, okay, if they think about iGaming, okay, Play and Go, I've seen them on the car. They are, they must be big, they must be serious, they must be good. If they do this, then it gives us a stamp of approval. So there's many things not easy to measure. No. There are ways to measure brand visibility, clicks on websites. We measure a lot, and the things we measure looks good. Saying that, okay, it translated into X amount of revenue.
Yeah, it's very hard.
It's very hard.
Yeah, because, how do you put a price on when you go into a meeting with DraftKings, for example, for the first time, and the DraftKings representative have seen your logo on the car, they know who you are because the Formula One partnership, so therefore you must be a serious game supplier. Yeah. How do you put a price on that, or the relationship that comes from it? These are like the maybe the bonuses on the peripheral, but it's massive amount of value that comes from it just because you are clearly a serious entity if you are willing to make a statement like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Very hard to put a finger on these things.
Yeah, it could be that the brand awareness we get from Formula One saves my sales guys 2 meetings. Yes. On average, and say that I have 20 sales guys, there's 2 meetings, that's 40 meetings a year. So I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I could dream up KPIs like that to get some measurement, but it does saves us time, and it puts us in a position of credibility, and and to be taken seriously.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll have to wait and see for all these exciting things for next year, in other words. So when we follow up on our podcast, Magnus, we can start to evaluate these exciting news 100%. That you will have at that time. Another topic I'm curious about is AI, especially AI in game production, because I see a lot of game suppliers that are speeding up the game production using AI. Obviously generative AI can create symbols and graphics really fast and so on and so forth. But what I'm curious also is when the AI is good enough to create really creative games, really fast, really cheap, isn't there a risk also that the AI will flood the market with games? And in that case, how do you stand out in that world? Because already today there are suppliers that can produce AI-generated games at just a prompt, for example. This is just going to get better and better. So I'm curious if your industry is one of those industries that's at risk of the AI just taking over and flooding the industry with games. And again, how do you stand out in that context? So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this, because this must be something you're talking about internally as well. And
absolutely. I think anyone who thinks that they will not be affected by AI is wrong. Everybody will be affected, and our industry is definitely very suitable for AI in many ways. You need to lead and control, and you need to embrace it. And we work with AI in many functions, not only game production, but we try to, the creative people we have, we want them to work on high value work, high value things that really makes a difference. We don't want them bogged down in doing translations or, tedious stuff, scaling up, scaling down games or whatever it could be. That's a good way of using AI for us. Generative AI, I think, I know they use it as a help and source of inspiration. So AI cannot really innovate yet. You cannot ask AI to please cure cancer. No. It's not. Hopefully we can do that one day, but it doesn't look like that will happen within. So you cannot prompt an AI and say, create a super innovative game with mechanics no one's ever seen before, and find me a theme that no one ever thought about. You cannot do that. You still need people to do that. And we got great people, and we want them to focus on that. And can we take away stuff that just slows them down or makes them demotivated or keeps them from innovating, keeps them from creating, and keeps them from adding their value to the product? That's our ambition with AI at the moment. And I think that will remain for the visible future. Yeah, we can do some generative AI, and we can create alternative skins, games with AI if we want to. And maybe there is a point in doing that in some cases. But we still need this creative team and this creative power. And that's one of the strengths of the company. That's the small innovations and the small enhancements and the small steps that, okay, I've done this with a math model. I've tweaked it like that. I looked at data. I think this is what we need to do. And then it works. And then it works. And then we do more and more and more. So let's... I would say AI for us is growing. We use it everywhere, and it's super important. We want it to handle things that, doesn't... we want our people to work on the high value things, and AI to take care of as much as possible of the rest.
Yeah, it's a great way of looking at it. I think mediocre companies will see AI and the use cases for it as a great way to minimize cost and to automate production. And they'll probably see in the beginning, like, oh my God, we can create these games and let people go and just try to automate. But what it does in the long term is you'll just be one of a million companies that are doing the same thing, right? And so you really need to think about, if you want to be a tier 1 producer in your case, how can we use that human capital that we have and the expertise to stand out and to be that tier 1 that isn't the same as the kind of AI generated sea of content out there. And there's a great business concept.
I think so too. And I think you must also see what I see. You get this, that you strongly suspect AI-generated LinkedIn updates or messages.
Oh my God, yeah, you can tell, right?
Yes, you can tell. And how does that make you feel?
I'm like, oh my God, people are lazy. That's what.
People are lazy.
Yeah. No matter how good the post is, the first thought will always be, oh my God, how lazy that they use ChatGPT.
Yep.
That's always going to be the case. Versus someone who writes an original thought full of spelling errors, for example, but at least they made the effort, right?
Yep, I agree.
Isn't that interesting to think about?
Yeah, I think about it all the time, and LinkedIn is such a good example, or such a bad example of where AI shouldn't go. So I don't want any player of our games look at them and say, they took a shortcut.
Yeah, it's AI, because you can tell.
Yes.
Like, there's still that gap where it's hard to say exactly what it is that makes it AI, but you can tell. There's that little thing.
That will probably go away at some point, or it will be less and less. And I think AI is going to improve to levels we cannot fathom right now. But I think we're many years away from that creativity and innovation that at least we see in our teams.
Yes.
I think that's not what AI is good at right now.
No, it seems like what the kind of the approach to AI today is. There's no way for the AI to be original in that way. The first time there was a glimpse of originality in AI was like that classic move 37 when the AI beat AlphaGo champion, and move 37 is known as this like really confusing move that no human had ever made, and there's like really this big moment of like, oh my God, the AI is like doing something original. But other than these glimpses, it seems like the approach to AI today is that rehashing what is known already. So what is out there and kind of a different version of that, but you can't really ask the AI to be creative as such, and that seems to be like on an architecture level where the full approach to AI needs to change in order for that really creative process to take over, let's say.
I'm not that technically savvy on, but you look at the large language models, and in the name LLMs, AI is using what's already there.
Yes,
there has to be something.
Yes,
for AI to work. It cannot work in a void.
No.
and just invent everything from scratch.
Oh, exactly. And that's why it's difficult today when you task the AI to say, for example, come up with a really cool company name or some really creative phrase that is like vibing with the Gen Zs in a really organic and original way. The AI just is not able to do it.
No.
It's just not where it lives. It will rehash something that is very basic, but it's not something that stands out as original, that like creates a new trend, for example, or something like that.
Exactly.
That's where it's missing, and that's where the human capital really shines. And what you're saying is the really great resources that you have internally in Play and Go. There is this business concept of signal to noise ratio that say that every day you wake up and you have a to-do list of 100 things. You know, we all been there. And sometimes you can become reactive and you're like, you just do things that pops up in front of you. But really what you want to do is you want to identify like the 3 most important things that day. And anything that you work, any time that you spend on these 3 things, that's the signal, like that's where you want to be. And any time that you spend outside of these 3 things, that's the noise. Right? And you want to have like as good signal to noise ratio as possible. And what you're saying here is like, for your talented developers, let's make sure that the AI takes care of the noise, so that your devs can stay in the signal as much as possible, where they are bring the most value to the company.
Same with HR and finance and everybody. You know, how do we do recruiting? How do we do invoicing? How do we do all those things? Can we do it better, smarter with AI? You know, and let those people work on more stimulating things? Yeah, probably. So let's do that.
Yeah, for sure.
And that when people apply for jobs, you see that they use AI more and more for their applications. I think that's good. It would be worse if they didn't.
True.
But they also have to add, it cannot be all AI. It has to have that personal touch. And you read CVs as well. You know, you're looking for an individual that, good that they use AI, good that they do this, but also good that they have a personality that shines through.
Yes.
So
it's such a good point, because you know, if you like when you look at a CV. You know, as an employer, you employ people all the time. In our business, we do the same. You are looking for clues of like why this person is either an A player or a C player, let's say, like, and so
in your organization, because an A player for me could be a C player in your organization.
It's true. So it's true. Yeah. But we do still though, like we are looking. You know, you see a CV and you see like, okay, this person have worked 1 year here, 1 year here, 1 year here, 1 year here, 1 year here. That's a warning signal, yes. So we are looking for those warning signals constantly, and if someone is writing, for example, a personal letter that is AI generated. Warning signal, you know, because you want the person, even if it's a bit I don't know, like an egocentric thing or whatever, but like you want the applicants to like want to be in your company, right? And so you want them to have studied your company when they jump in a call. You know, the best thing someone can do, I think, like the number 1 tip from my side as an employer, if you go into an interview, is to like study the buzzwords that the company is using. So in let's say like Gaming Malta here, the government entity of the gaming entity of Malta's government, they use some phrases that is like the Silicon Valley of iGaming, you know, the home of gaming excellence. When I go into if Ivan is Pilate is watching this now, but he will now. I've now uncovered myself. But when I go into meetings with him, I would say that. I would say, like, you know, Malta is the home of gaming excellence. You know, and then he knows that I know what they're trying to achieve. Here. You know, I made my homework. I showed that I've studied. You know.
Yes, you want that. You want people who are interested in your company or interested in working with you, either as an employer or as a partner or as a customer or supplier, whatever the relationship is. You want them to be invested in it, spend some time on it, just as we spend time on, you know, prepping like this. You do your homework, I do my homework. When we meet customers or meet partners or whatever, we spend time before preparing, reading up, making a call or two, to check in on stuff. You want people to do that. And when it's too much AI or too much automation or just mass-produced, and you can see that there's no personal touch in this, I kind of lose interest a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
I zoom out. Yeah.
I like how when you named your company Play & Go, that you made that first test of like, how do you spell the company name Play & Go? Where do you put the apostrophe? Is it before the N or after the N? That's a good test. The first test for the employees, right?
It is. Yep.
The apostrophe before the N, capital G-O. That's how you do Play & Go.
Yep.
Brilliant. Another topic that I wanted to discuss too, which is quite interesting that Play & Go does, is the industry comes from the land-based, right? And some of the game suppliers, the traditional ones, migrated from land-based to online, or they expanded from land-based to online. There are many classics, here, Light & Wonder, of course, Alexi, there's many. But you guys are one of the few that are trying to do the opposite jump. You're born out of online, and you are now trying to expand into the land-based sector. Talk about that ambition. What are the differences? How difficult is it? What are the challenges?
Yeah, so what we're doing right now is that we have 3 casinos in UK where our games are available on machines, on physical machines, and they're up and running live. I think there's 15 games right now. It's unfair to all the land-based customers that they can't access good content. So we feel we have an obligation to do good
to the customer,
to the customer, to good in this world. Now, but you also that it's a good it's a big market, land-based. There's room for innovation there in how the games look and perform, but also how they are distributed. And we are and we will remain to be a software company. So we provide the software, the content. We can be almost completely hardware agnostic by use of clever middleware. And we can use our cloud services to distribute content where regulation allows it. So this gives us an opportunity to do something different. And I think that's what we jumped on, that we might not be interested in just doing what AGS or those guys has been doing for 50 years. Build a game, put it in the machine, wheel the machine into the casino, and let people play it. And when they're bored of it, they take out the machine and put in a new one. That's not us. So we think that we can do this in a much more efficient and modern way. That's cost efficient for the casino, and also give them content that is different, which will attract a new audience. And I think that's the key here. That I think that the people who frequent land-based casinos, they have their favorite games. I certainly have, and they will continue to play the Buffalo games and the Piggies and the Dancing Drums, and we all know that there's certain super popular games. They will continue to be popular, and that will continue to work. But if you want a new audience that might look to something like Reactoons or Moon Princess, or games that are maybe not normally found in a land-based casino, when we can put that in there, we will bring a new audience to the casino. And we can do this in a technology way that's cost efficient and modern. So that was kind of the rationale. And now we've successfully done a pilot, and we are rolling out now with Genting in UK, step by step, casino by casino. And so far it's doing good. There was some technologies things we had to sort in the beginning, but it went surprisingly well. We, of course, the graphics, if you look at our game on a cell phone and then you blow it up on a big screen, obviously you have to do some enhancements of the graphics and audio and things like that. But we knew that, and we could do it with AI. So
there we go.
but you know, and then so now this is we're ready to work everywhere in the world with this, and it's very exciting, and I think this it gives us, you know, one more leg to stand on. So it's great, it's fun.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
Never a dull moment in the offices. No. If we now start to look forward and the journey that you're on with Play and Go, what would you say is the vision? Where are you working towards? Do you have any particular major goals that you're aligning the company around, or where is all of this heading?
So we have what I said, you know, we want to be in every regulated market. We want to have 100% regulated traffic.
Wow.
Yeah. And we are, and that will happen soon. We want to be in land-based, and we want to be a player in land-based. So if I look 3 years, 5 years from now, I would say that we will have online, we will have land-based, and maybe one more vertical that we stand on, and that we have a couple of ideas what that could be.
Social casino, you're thinking something like that, or?
That could be one thing. There's a few others that we're looking into where there might be opportunities, because we want to be innovative and a bit disruptive also. It makes no sense to do the same thing as someone else have done, because, you know, if someone is doing it really good and they've been doing it for 20 years, they got a head start, and if we want to compete with them, we have to be disruptive. We cannot try to catch up, you know? And that's normal business sense.
Yeah,
so,
start your own Formula 1 team, Magnus.
Exactly. No, so I think you know, 1 or 2 more verticals and regulated traffic, and I hope that we can come together on the industry direction, and we can see that it's the stigma and the social acceptance of playing a nice slot game. I want to see someone is not in the industry posting on Instagram that, oh, I just tested Play and Go's new game. It's awesome. I can highly recommend it. Mm-hmm. You know, without people saying, "Oh, you know, this is dangerous." Or
yeah,
I would like us to be there, and I will work as hard as I can for us to get there and bring us to that point. So I think that's, you know, Play and Go. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we are the largest slots only provider in the world. I can't think of a company that's bigger than us that only do slots. You know,
because you don't do live.
We don't do live like Prague or Evolution, and they got other things as well. So I think we want to remain that, but I think if we add a couple of more verticals, we might not be the largest anymore, but we also can bring that content to a larger audience, which is actually more important. Mm-hmm. And that's what we definitely want to do.
Grand ambitions, Magnus. It's been a fascinating conversation here today. Learn more about Formula 1, thoughts on AI, bringing new business models to life. It's been a roller coaster here, and that's why we enjoyed to have you here. Yes, absolute pleasure, Magnus. Thank you so much for giving me your time, and all the best of luck.
Thank you. Great to be here.